Mariamas! Widgie and I were going to talk today about toys. Anyway, there are 5 major categories of toys that all birds should have, and they should have lots of toys. Fill their cage up with toys, even if they don't seem to be playing with them now. That's one of the funny things about parrots. They will sometimes not respond to a toy right away, but they may respond to it a week later, a month later, or even a year later. I've given Widget toys she didn't play with for 2 years, and all of a sudden decided she liked them. So go heavy on the toys. Anyway, of those 5 categories, we're going to start with the first one, noise-making toys. These are really common. You always see bells in stores for parrots. Widget loves bells. Her favorite thing to do is chew the clappers out of them, but she also likes to hit them and make them jingle. Another of her all-time favorites are rattles. She loves baby rattles. I don't think I've ever walked past a baby rattle in a store without buying it because she just loves baby rattles. And I hang them in her cage, I hang them on her perch. They're great, and they're cheap, and the plastic is safe for babies, so it's got to be safe for Widget. The second category of toys that is really fun is foot toys. A lot of people neglect this one. They're small things that they can pick up in their feet and walk around with. They can roll over on their back and play with them. The conures especially will lay on their back and play with little toys. Widget likes to play fetch with foot toys. She tends to throw them off the cage and I go get them for her and she throws them again. It's a fun game. So little pieces of plastic, all kinds of things that she can pick up and walk around with. Some of these may cross the line. They may also be noise-making toys as well as foot toys. Some of them she gets sort of aggressive with and she shakes them repeatedly and they're really fun. But she seems to really like these little cat toys, which are also safe and fairly cheap. Let's see, the third category, toys with moving parts. Now you'll see ones that are marketed specifically for birds. It's really enriching for them to have things that have moving parts. They play with them, they use the analytical part of their mind, and they play games with these toys. Another one of those fun, cheap alternatives that's not necessarily marketed for parrots, more baby toys. Widget loves these fake keychains. Again, I buy every single one that I see, the teething keychains, because they're usually her favorite toy. They used to be the only way I could get her to come to me across the room. She won't come when called, but she'd always come if I shook one of these things. She'd come straight to it. Not interested right now? Okay. And the fourth category of toys, really important one, destructibles. Things that they can destroy. This is the biggest complaint people have about buying parrot toys. They spend money on toys and the parrots destroy them, but that is the point of some toys. So you can go and you can get the strings of wooden stuff on leather straps and let them chew those to bits. You can get all kinds of things and let them chew to bits. You can also use some things found in the home. One of the things Widget can't get enough of is paper. If I give her paper, the first thing she starts to do is she starts to chew it into little strips and line her nest with it, and she'll stay busy on paper for a whole day. Another thing I use are toilet paper rolls. Now by themselves they bore her to tears, but this is a fun toy that I made. Just get a little bit of plastic chain from the hardware store. You could do metal chain for a larger, stronger bird, but just make sure it's not plated with anything. And I just jam little popsicle sticks in there and that holds it on the chain, and I can hang it anywhere in the cage and she can attack it or she can chew it to bits. And as you can see, this one's been chewed up pretty well. It takes her about a month to go through them. The fourth category of toys are called preeners. And these are things that are soft that they can run their beak over and basically imitate preening another bird. And she likes these pretty well, and she'll play with them. And this sort of has moving parts too, has little beads that she'll play with. And eventually this sort of crosses the line into destructibles as well. You can see an older version. This used to be about as fluffy as the one in my hand, and she actively chewed it to bits. You may want to make these yourself. I make these myself with the cotton twine that you buy for tying up pot roasts, because that's totally safe for them to put in their mouth. And so anyway, those are the 5 major categories of toys. Now I'm going to cover a couple of absolute no-nos really quickly. One of them is brittle things that they can break. Like for example, that plastic foot toy I showed you works for Widget, but it would not work for an African Grey because it would be a brittle piece of plastic. It's things like this, for example. When they break, they create splinters. And those splinters would really hurt if they got in their mouth and they swallowed them. So you don't want that. Another thing you want to avoid, you can totally make your own toys out of wood, but always avoid anything that's pressure treated. If it's pressure treated or treated with any sort of a preservative for outdoor use, probably going to be poisonous to your birds, so you don't want to play with that. Here's another thing that you want to avoid. These are everywhere, and I used to let Widget play with them all the time, but she flakes off the little bits of metal, and those are something they can easily ingest. Like I mentioned earlier, the plated metal chains and stuff like that. This also can shatter and be really brittle, so somebody like the African Grey with a good strong beak, he'd probably hurt himself on this. And then some absolute wonderful things you can find that make your life so much easier. One of my favorite things are these little teething rings for babies. They always open and close so you can hook them around things, and I use them to hang Widget's toys in the cage. So for example, I'll hook this and I'll hang it on the bars. It doesn't damage the enamel on her cage, thus preserving the life of the cage, and it's big enough to get around large bars and around perches. And again, the plastic is safe for babies, it's safe for her. I link them in and of themselves. They are toys, but they're especially good for hanging things. They're a lot less expensive than those little metal things with the locking twisty thing. Oh, here's another fun preener. You can make one of these at home. It's just a bunch of strips of t-shirt, and she loves it. She'll cuddle with it, and she'll chew on it, and she'll play with it. And so that's a lot of fun too. Anyway, more videos to come. Hope you guys are all having fun with your new birds, and happy day!